Good evening. Welcome back to Near Post Flick On. Right, so Spurs transfer action. You know what? I was actually thinking, when are Tottenham going to start making some signings this transfer window? Because let's be honest, they've got their hands cut out in the Champions League now that they're back in it. So they're going to have to bolster up their squad. So I was thinking to myself, well, why haven't we seen any action from Tottenham? And just like that, Tottenham, Daniel Levy has pulled out his checkbook and he's made his signing. Mohamed Kudus from West Ham going over to Tottenham for 15 million, 55 million. 15 million would be a bargain, but no, he's going for 55 million from West Ham to Tottenham. And I think a lot of Tottenham fans are happy about this. If I'm not mistaken, from what I've seen, it seems that a lot of Tottenham fans are happy with the signing. I mean, I have my own opinion as to whether I think it's a good purchase or not. But yeah, we'll leave that for a couple of minutes. Yeah, so Kudos is going. He's an attacking midfielder. He's a very, very good player. Very good player. I think he's attracted a lot of interest as well from Chelsea and Newcastle. But as far as the player is concerned, he's always wanted to go to Tottenham. And yeah, Tottenham got their man, and the player's got the club that he's wanted to play for. And it's always pleasing for Tottenham to beat the likes of Chelsea to a signing, and of course Newcastle. So it's a good thing that the club are actually backing the manager. Again, you could argue a case that are they really backing him? Are they really backing him? I don't know because there were other players that were kind of identified before the kudos signing, but here we are. Tottenham have signed Kudos 55 million from West Ham, and he's going over on a 6-year deal, so he's going to be there for a while. But as I say, he's a very very good player, so nothing taken away from the player. He's a great attacking midfielder, and I'm sure he will definitely progress at Spurs. He had a great breakout season at West Ham. His first season, he was unplayable at West Ham. Really, really good. He's got a good engine on him. Can finish. He's got quite a few good goals for West Ham. But last season, I think he probably underperformed to the standards that he set in the first season. So I don't know why that was. I'm not sure. But hopefully he can find his best form at Tottenham. But as I say, we'll wait and see how that goes. Um, I think for West Ham, I think his record is he's played 65 games for West Ham and he scored 13 goals. So for attacking midfielder, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all because you've got to factor in, the chances created and things like that. But as I say, for a club like Spurs, is Kudos is he the answer? Is he the answer in comparison to some of the other clubs? Is Kudos the answer? But being a Champions League side, which Tottenham are now, going into next season, it is important that you've got strength in depth. And I think bringing in Kudos answers the question. But there were other players that were linked to Spurs that didn't quite make it. But yeah, it's good signing. So as I say, generally across board, it seems that Spurs supporters, fans are happy with the signing. Me, I've got a question mark on this one, but you never know. You're just gonna have to wait and see how he gets on. And yeah, I guess we'll just give him time. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. And another player. So it looked like Tottenham were about to sign two attacking players within 48 hours. But of course, the other one has now stalled. And the person that I'm talking about, the player that I'm referencing, is Morgan Gibbs-White. So he was supposed to be coming to Spurs for 60 million. So basically, Spurs had triggered his his clause, the clause in his contract, and it seemed like the player was going to be doing his medical today, but it didn't go accordingly. And the reason being is because apparently Spurs had done this. Well, allegedly, shall I say? Spurs had done this, under the radar, so to speak. So Nottingham Forest weren't happy about this, and they are definitely taking. Well, it looks like they are taking legal actions. From what I understand, it looks like Nottingham Forest are taking legal action. And to be honest, I don't understand why Spurs would go behind their back to do the deal. Why not just approach the club? I mean, what is the big deal? Why not approach Nottingham Forest and say, listen, we're interested in Morgan Gibbs White. He's got a 60 million release clause. We're happy to meet that clause. Are you happy to do the deal? Yes, we are. Bish bash bosh. It's a done deal. So I don't understand why you would butcher the deal. Why would you do that? Why not just approach the club? I just don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. But I'm sure as the days and the times go by, I'm sure we're going to start getting more information as it progresses. But if Tottenham can get Morgan Gibbs-White again, I don't think he was one of the first choices, to be honest, in terms of players that was linked to Tottenham at the start of the transfer window or the transfer market. I don't think he was the go-to guy. But listen, if you're Spurs and you've got two attacking midfielders coming to your squad, to your team, I'm sure you'll be happy. I've watched Morgan Gibbs-White play for Nottingham Forest, and I think he's a quality player. He's a good player. He's not an average player. He is a very, very talented individual. He can ball. But as I say, for me personally, I think there are other midfielders that I would have liked to have seen go to Tottenham. But as it stands, Morgan Gibbs White, it looks like that deal's off the table for now. So I'm guessing Nottingham Forest will probably have, or will probably want some type of compensation from Tottenham to kind of then officially give the green light to give the go ahead so that they can actually make this deal materialize and make it become a reality for Tottenham. As I say, I just don't understand why Daniel Levy would go behind their backs. It doesn't make any sense. Why approach the player privately? Why not just approach the club and just show interest and just be transparent? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I am struggling to understand how Tottenham have kind of found themselves in this situation. But as I say, it seems like he's a player that Thomas Frank wants in the squad. So let's see what happens. Let's see if Tottenham do get their man in eventually, but we'll see. So the other players that I was referencing that I felt Tottenham would have kind of thrown everything to get is Eze. So Tottenham were linked with Eze initially at the start of the transfer window. And I literally was keeping my fingers crossed that if Tottenham can get Eze, that a player of that type of caliber, that will set them apart, or if not, kind of bring them closer to the other leading top four, top five sides. But they've gone with Kudus, and as I say, there's nothing wrong with Kudus. He's a talented footballer, but for me, I would have loved to have seen Eze at Spurs, and of course, the other player being Brian Mbuemo, and I think he would have been fantastic. A little bit older than Kudos and Morgan Gibbs White, but he's got an engine on him, and he would have been, and he scored more goals as well. He's got a lot of goals in him, and also he knows, or Thomas Frank knows how he plays, so that he already has that relationship, and he already has that bond with the manager, with the current manager. So I think that there was a lot of positives in trying to back a signing for Brian and Bumo, but unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what side of the fence you sit on, Tottenham have gone for Kudos and they've gone for Morgan Gibbs White. And I'm sure these players will deliver for Tottenham. But for me, if you're trying to compete with Manchester City, if you're trying to compete with Chelsea, if you're trying to compete with Liverpool, if you're trying to compete with Arsenal, you've got to be matching what they're doing in the transfer market. You've got to. Liverpool forked out 116 million for Verts, and then they forked out some small change. Well, some change for small change. Not it's in the millions, but they forked out some change for Frimpong as well. So they kind of set their market out from the offset. They've broken the Premier League transfer record to get Verts in, and he's a fantastic player. That's what you're dealing with if you want to compete at the highest level. Manchester City brought in eight Nuri, brought in Reinders, and of course Charky as well. And again, those are some serious footballers that they've brought in. They've enhanced Manchester City's squad and their chances for competing for the top honours next season. Arsenal have been linked with Gyökeres, and it might happen. We don't know. It's looking like it will happen. And of course, they're looking at Eze as well, a Tottenham target. So your competitors, your competition, are looking at signing some of the best players in the world. And I think you should be doing that. You should be looking at doing that. If you want to match this guy, you should be doing that.